I put myself in this place where everybody else was afraid to tell me what they thought, or they didn't want to upset me. So it was a lot of people just people pleasing around me, and it made me feel more alone. I realized I didn't want to be feared. I wanted to be loved. And respected for who I really am, rather than, oh God, we can't mess with her. Like that thing that I thought was working before, it just wasn't fulfilling me anymore. And I actually got to a point where I had a really difficult time, and I didn't have anybody to turn to because they didn't know how to support me because I wasn't being vulnerable.
Right.
So that was it. There's a few breakdowns, and through those breakdowns, there were breakthroughs.
Hi, my name's Patricia. Welcome to the Life Mastery Stories. Over the last several years, I've had the pleasure of working with extraordinary humans from all over the world. Everyone from celebrities to professional athletes, CEOs, CFOs, NHL players, moms, dads, and everything in between. Today, I'm introducing you to an incredible human being. She is a real estate team lead for Meta Realty Group and a mom of 2 beautiful children. In this episode, Meray shares with us what she discovered about the distinction between getting people to do what you want through intimidation versus authentically leading through vulnerability and connection. And her uncomfortable journey of practicing vulnerability in her life and how that led to her accessing a superpower. You're gonna wanna tune in. I'm here with Meray Mansour, incredible Meray Mansour, realtor, mom of 2, investor, extraordinary human being, and someone who I deeply admire. And so, Meray, tell me, what brought you into this work? What was it that had you begin this journey in terms of like the deep dive of the inner child and the false self? And you've been on a personal growth journey for a long time.
It's been a long time. I started when I was 17 on this journey, and it wasn't really on purpose. It was more, I was in crisis, continuously in crisis from 12 until early 20s. And so when I was 17 in the club scene, I met somebody who became my therapist, became like a second mom, and she kind of showed me another way. Just to summarize it, her name was Annabelle. And honestly, if I didn't meet Annabelle, I don't know where I would be today. So that was really big for me. And I mean, I was like herding cats, right? I was just crazy and wild at that age. And but I knew that there was more. I always had this inner knowing, and I always had this feeling of no matter what happened to me, I wanted to overcome. I wanted to find myself. In my childhood and early teens, I think like everybody, just trying to discover who I am. And I think that that was, and again, like most people, was kind of being squashed out of me, like being pushed out of me. I felt like I was being pushed further and further away from who I truly am. And so I just unconsciously, I mean, it wasn't consciousness, but I think it was intuition, always sort of pushed me towards where I was supposed to be. And God, I feel like I put myself in some really, really bad situations, and I felt that now I can see I was always protected, and I was always being guided. And luckily, no matter how lost I was, I always had that inner knowing. Or I would literally have earth angels come into my life and be like, nope, you gotta go here. Like actually, these things actually happened. So for me, it was just sort of, after, Annabelle was the one who kind of talked me into going back to college and university to become a child and family therapist. And I feel like that actually really helped me understand everything that I went through better and put me in a place where I really wanted to help people. And especially children. And I think that stemmed from not having that when I was younger. So I always kind of wanted to give people what I didn't have, the support that I would have liked to have or needed even.
Now, you're someone who's been seeker at heart, You've been doing the work for a long time.
Yes.
You're perpetually wanting to grow and evolve and be better. What was different about this methodology and working together than other things you've done in the past?
So that's a good question. I think that I was a very difficult client with a lot of therapists. I don't know why, but I feel like I was, because I was really kind of in tune with myself on some level, and I'm also very intuitive.
Yeah.
If it didn't flow, like if I didn't feel that if it didn't resonate, I couldn't accept it. And I would be very challenging. So I think what ended up happening is I created this really tough exterior to protect myself. And it helped me a lot in a lot of ways. I was, I achieved a lot of things in my life. And so it's really hard to let go of something that's actually really worked for you. I felt respected. I felt that people knew their place, and I kind of liked that because it felt safe to me. As I got older, and just more aware, I think, and more conscious, I realized it's not working for me. Like it was working for me in terms of work, career, just everyday stuff. But intimate relationships were really difficult for me because I had a hard time trusting and just letting go of control. And then what I came to realize is the two can't coexist, right? Like you can't be in a conscious, committed relationship, a spiritual connection, and be in control and be trying to run the show, right? Like there's two people.
What was your life experience like so sort of pre-identifying the inner child and the false self and really like owning the impact? There's a winning formula to it. There's like a purpose it serves. What were some of the downfalls to being in this construct?
Well, I put myself in this place where everybody else was afraid to tell me what they thought or they didn't want to upset me. So it was a lot of people just people pleasing around me, and it made me feel more alone. I realized I didn't want to be feared. I wanted to be loved and respected for who I really am, rather than, oh God, we can't mess with her. Like that thing that I thought was working before, it just wasn't fulfilling me anymore. And I actually got to a point where I had a really difficult time and I didn't have anybody to turn to because they didn't know how to support me because I wasn't being vulnerable.
Right.
So that was it. There's a few breakdowns, and through those breakdowns there were breakthroughs. And you are just like, I remember Zorak introduced us, and he does that with me a lot. He just kind of says, oh, you should meet this person. Doesn't really tell me why, but I trust it for some reason. And with me and you, I mean, we lived in the same neighborhood. We just connected like right away. And you were, I don't know, you were just a good friend and very present with me, and I felt really accepted and seen by you, which was something that I never really felt before. So for me to be able to be vulnerable with you, I needed to feel like you understood me. And I think you and I have a very similar inner child. So
we have,
Carla.
So we're going to talk about Carla.
So for me, I needed to feel that you would get it before I could actually open up.
And what was your experience doing the work together? What was that like for you?
It was interesting because I've never allowed anybody to call me out the way that you do, but it's because it's very authentic, and it feels, you do it from a loving place and you do it from a place of real understanding. And I was able to learn from you a lot. I found myself with other therapists in the past that I was kind of trying to teach them. So that wasn't really working. Like, how do you trust somebody if they're not giving you or allowing you to find more awareness, right? And it's like you're constantly just explaining things, like they're not understanding, you're explaining things. But with you, you got it, and you would not let me get away with my stuff, my tricky stuff.
Nope. What were some of the breakthroughs that you had? If you were to think about like particular moments, what were some of the major breakthroughs that you experienced?
Really, like, I think the biggest thing for me is I'm a very empathic person,
Yeah.
but when I get triggered, I shut that part of me down and I go into like combat, like, let's go, you know? And so with you, I think what I came to was how I can use that empathy that I have and stay in my heart,
Yeah.
even in the triggered moments.
Yeah.
And even if I do react in those moments, I clean them up very quickly. Like I just recently sent you a screenshot of something I blew up. And within 10 minutes, I cleaned it up. Whereas before, it probably would have taken me, like, I would have reasoned and rationalized it into how I'm right and the other person's wrong. And we've come to a place where I never really, like, even if in that triggered moment, I might point the finger or like try to be right about something, but then I just turn it around and say, well, why is this triggering me? And what's this bringing up in me that needs to be healed? So it becomes no longer about the other person. It's really about what I need to work on and what's this next layer that's coming up for me? Because I know if you don't heal it, it's just always going to stay in your life sabotaging things.
Totally.
We don't want that.
No, we don't want that. And you're not committed to that.
No, I'm not committed to that.
Hey, it's Patricia. If you're enjoying this episode and you're curious how the life mastery method could work for you, click the link in the description to learn more. What are some of the like patterns that you notice, like reoccurring patterns that show up in our life that were caused from, I'm going to go a little deeper with you, with like the inner child or the false self. We talk about this jail cell, this construct.
Yes.
And you talked about this sort of hard exterior, this person that was good at keeping people away and getting respect.
Exactly.
But what patterns or what did you notice or what did you discover about your inner child and false self, and what were some of the limitations?
A really good pattern or a really good thing that I noticed was my pattern of making people wrong and being critical and judgmental of other people to create distance. Because if that person is wrong and that person, there's, something wrong going on with that person, then they're not safe, so I can't let them in. But the reality is I didn't feel safe letting people in. So I was finding reasons and ways, even attracting the wrong people to revalidate my pattern. Right? And
so it can be justified, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Like my justification is on another level.
Yeah.
I'm really, really good at it. So it's been just like constantly reviewing situations, anything that's emotionally charged, and just really looking at where the patterns are. Like it's a conscious decision and it's a conscious practice, right? It's not something that's just sort of, it's starting to become more natural now. Yeah. But I created this really strong exterior, image, right? And my career lends to that. Like that's what helps me be successful. People respect me. They trust me. That's really big for me. But in doing that, coming to a realization that I could still actually be my authentic, real self, and people will actually respect me and trust me from a more authentic place. And that became way more important to me. Like I've come to, like, I feel like in this last year, there's been really huge growth because of the work that we've done, just like uncovering so many layers, and every day there's more. And realizing it's nowhere to get. It's the journey. And really enjoying, like actually really enjoying all the things in it. It's not like, oh, what is this gonna, like I've actually said that, like how much, I think I've said it to you probably, how much more am I gonna have to deal with, but that also is so disempowering, because it's like saying that something is outside of me, but realizing that everything is really inside. There's nothing to get to. There's no one to be. There's no, no one to blame. It's all, whatever's happening is what I need to happen in this moment right now.
I love that. And I love that you pointed to that, this infinite practice, because it never ends. And we can choose to make it an empowering context so that we continue and then we keep going.
And with you, I think I felt that you really cared. It wasn't just like, I'm doing this job and I'm taking these notes. It was like, I felt your heart, you know, and it made me realize how important it is to be in my heart when working with people. And if I had one thing to describe it, it's that. Like, that's the most powerful thing with you, is that I always felt your love, you know?
I love you.
I know, and I love you. And that to me is so powerful. And you have this real peace about you, and just I feel your love is infinite, and it's, you know, it's, you spread it all around you, and it's a beautiful thing. And for me, that was really powerful, and that's something that I really value, and I've always kind of wanted that, you know. I've always wanted to, like, I've had Annabelle, but after Annabelle, you know, I've had moments, but haven't really had anybody that I truly look up to in that way, like even emulate, you know. So that's a big compliment.
Well, I'm so inspired by, you know, mom of two, busy, both entrepreneur and realtor, and that you take space for yourself to grow. Like, you are not willing to accept life as it is. No. And even if Carla, you know, when we talk about Carla, we're talking about the inner child, even though there's moments that she shows up, you are looking, and you will not stay committed to that. Like, you want to live an extraordinary life. And
I think that, you know, actually separating Carla from who like the spiritual part of me, like that inner child, not in a separation way, but more like the parts work, right? It's been really powerful for me, because I can look at her. Yeah. And it actually reminds me of something Annabelle did one time. She pulled out a picture. I was showing her a picture of me as a little girl. And then she said, did this little girl deserve everything that happened? And it was just like, that was a really big breakthrough. But that's kind of like separating Carla from who I am now as an adult helps me be present for Carla, be there for her, give her what she needed that she didn't get, you know, and not have to find that outside of myself, but also being able to look at it more objectively. Yeah. Right.
And I want to talk about her for a second. We love her because she's infinite, and she's infinite learning. And you know, throughout this journey, we identify the inner child, the wounds. These are experiences that happen beyond what we could handle. And then we identify the protector, the one that needs to protect the pain. Usually this is the one that's triggered or activated, or it might be silent and shut down. It shows up differently for people. So often we'll name them so that we realize they're not us.
Exactly.
And then we can be in practice and like create a new relationship with them, where they might be there. They might have like an automatic response, but they don't drive the bus. They're not running it into the building, as both of our inner children would love to do.
Oh, they like to blow things
They
up.
just they douse it. They douse it, right? So the work becomes the practice, and it becomes a moment by moment practice. So tell me what you discovered about what we call the false self, you know, that was born out of the inner child, and we named her Carla.
Yeah.
What did you discover about her? And then how do you practice with her?
What I discovered is she's always trying to protect me, right? And she's always trying to be big because she feels small. And where I've come to is a place where, I mean, we've done a lot of work on this, and just writing letters and, you know, punching pillows and all the things. But I've come to a place where I'm working on giving her the validation and letting her know that we are safe through my boundaries now. So it's no longer, we don't have to have temper tantrums or be mad at people or block people or ignore people, all those things that I used to do. Now I can just have very clear, healthy boundaries from a loving place. And my inner child feels safer knowing that, you know, adult, like, present me has it, like, and that's kind of what I worked with her on is, I've got this, you're okay, I'm taking care of you now, you don't have to be flexing all the time, we're good, right? And it's really helped me. I mean, I feel like I'm in this really interesting place right now where the things that used to be so important to me before just don't really matter that much anymore. And I have such an inner peace about it, you know. It's been very freeing, and just kind of letting go of the attachment to that false self, you know, and changing my relationship. Like, you know, the inner child could also be part of our ego, right? And my ego has been the thing that has helped me survive, you know, most of the trauma in my life. So also not like rejecting the ego.
That's right.
And just being like, you know what, thank you, I love you, and I've got this now. You know, we got here. Like, we're in this place of being able to create and coming from a more authentic place and being vulnerable. That's the word I was looking for. Vulnerability is not the enemy anymore. It used to be.
Well, it's great for everyone to note right now, because when you hear you speak, it would never feel like vulnerability was the enemy.
Right.
You speak so beautifully, and you share so generously, and you've shared so generously with so many people in your life. Like, you've been a stand for humans in doing the work. What would you say to people who are struggling silently, who are dealing with anxiety, depression, their overall life experience not feeling good, drama in relationships? What recommendation would you make to them?
For me personally, being vulnerable has made me feel the strongest that I've ever felt. And it's been the thing that I've been the most afraid of. So I would even say that maybe the thing that you're most afraid of is your true power. And I love people. I love the people around me. I love my children. I love my friends' children. I love humanity in general. And what I realized is me growing and doing this work is helping humanity, helping the world be better, you know. And I used to think, oh, what am I gonna do? You know, from a very powerless kind of lack place. But now I realize that every little bit counts. So even if you're in a place right now where you can't necessarily do it for yourself, look at the people that you love in your life and be the best version of yourself for them. You know, like, my commitment comes from wanting my children to see something different, to know that no matter who they are, they're perfect, and that they can achieve anything that they put their mind to, that there's no limits in life, and where you're stopped is just it's a redirection. Totally. You know, and coming from your heart and being vulnerable and open is always your inner power.
Totally.
Our power comes from our heart. That's who we 100%. Are. That's our connection to the divine. That's our connection to other people. And the more we disconnect from ourselves, the more we're disconnecting from others.
Totally.
And I've been in all those dark places. And if I can say one thing, is there is a way out. You know, and the way out is in, is going in.
Totally.
And I would say probably this point in my life is where I felt the most peace, and it's where I've done the deepest, darkest, hardest work. So it's just, you can't have one without the other.
Totally. And that, you know, you point to that. It's like the most peace and the heart. It takes a lot of courage to step outside of your comfort zone. Why should people do the work?
Because what's on the other side is absolutely amazingly beautiful. And it's what life is about. And it's having these connections with humans and, you know, with yourself. It's just the most beautiful thing, you know. And just even through, I can sit through a meditation now and take myself from a place of lack to a place of abundance, just from my own energy and frequency. Like, it's absolutely amazing. And it's really like a miracle, and it's like not that hard. You know, all the obstacles that we have are the ones that we've placed. No matter what's happened to us in our life, we decide what we do with that. And a lot of this trauma is just unresolved energy in our body that we can release. We can choose to do that. We're so powerful. And it's just really coming to that realization. And for me also, the biggest thing is surrounding myself with beautiful humans. Like, I'm so blessed in so many ways, because the people in my life are absolutely amazing.
And how has that shifted since doing the work? What changes have you made around friendships, places you go, things you do? What changes have you made in your life?
That's a really good question. So I used to be the person that everybody turns to. I help everybody. And that was part of that false self.
The pleaser.
The pleaser.
The good one.
The one that can help you, fix you, do all the things, but not fix myself, not focus on myself, I should say. those were my distractions. And also because I was coming from like almost like a martyr place where I would help everybody and then I would complain that, well, why don't I get any of this back, you know? And people were just kind of grasping at me and really siphoning my energy. And they were not bad people. They're just people at different places in their lives going through whatever they're going through. But my willingness to accept that was taking from who I am. And also what I realized is I'm not actually helping these people. I'm a disservice to them and to myself in that place. So I just distanced myself, and I had really honest conversations with the people in my life where it wasn't working. And to be honest, a lot of the times me just changing my own frequency, those people sort of just fell away, and it was kind of shocking how it happened. Like to the point where I'd be like, wait, where is this person? What, is everything okay? What happened? Where did they go? And they were just gone. Like they were not even in my reality anymore. But it was really from just doing my own inner work and realizing my worth and the value of my time, and realizing that when I'm overwhelmed and, you know, lacking, that I can't give to the people who really like I want to give to, like my kids, for example, or you know, it's the give and take is so powerful in a relationship and in a friendship. If you're walking away both feeling better and energized and, you know, like you have your answers or at least on the right path, those are the types of friendships I want now. And it's very clear, you know, and do some of the, you know, do some people get through? Yes, they do. But now I clean it up very quickly within myself. And who knows, maybe at some point in my life, those people will re-enter. Maybe those people will do their own inner work or not. But I'm not attached to any of it. And I used to think it was being mean, you know, like setting boundaries with people. And now I realize it's actually doing them a disservice, not setting boundaries with them.
100%. I love that.
And I've learned it because people have done it with me. And that was another really big thing that came out was I was very humbled recently. I was very, very humbled by, you know, I was telling you
what
that,
happened.
well, all the criticism and the judgments, and I'm, you know, you should be have more integrity, and then all of a sudden I just started seeing the patterns of where I've been out of integrity, where I've done the exact same things that I'm criticizing other people for doing, and that being so humbled by that has been so freeing, because I don't have to be this perfect person, this like, you know, this facade that I've created. I can just be me. And if you're supposed to be in my life, you're going to be. And if you're not, that's okay too. God sends you with love. And it's very freeing.
I love that.
I love it too. It's awesome.
I'm going to give you some rapid fire questions. Okay. And it's all around breakthroughs.
Okay.
So we're going to rapid fire some of your biggest breakthroughs in different areas of your life. Okay. Biggest breakthroughs in relationships. Like intimate relationships. Being more discerning and not fixing. Not fixing. Not fixing.
Big one.
Beautiful. I love that. Biggest breakthroughs with family, like parents, extended family.
Letting go of trying to also fix and change them, and just loving them exactly where they are and trusting that their journey is their journey.
Love that.
That was a hard one. That's a tough one.
That's right. This is all deep practices.
That's a hard one. But
biggest breakthroughs with your children.
Just being really conscious of when I'm putting my stuff on them, and realizing I don't have to be perfect with them either. Like I had this like, oh my God, I'm failing as a mom feeling. But now realizing how amazing they are, and just how like the way that we have been is exactly the way that it's supposed to be. And when I have a moment that I feel like I'm not being my best self with my children or in front of them, I just clean it up.
I love that.
And it teaches them that they can make mistakes and they can do the same thing.
And that's the practice. This is a practice. You're going to mess up, you're going to fumble, but you're in a practice.
Exactly.
And this is the point.
Every minute of every day. We're in
that's
it together.
The practice. We're in it
and
together.
I appreciate you.
Absolutely. That's it. Biggest breakthrough with realizing what is possible for you in your life.
That's actually very exciting for me because I'm I'm just starting to see, when you have your thing and you're in this thing and you're constantly just doing the things in the thing.
Yeah.
But now I'm just realizing that there's so many more things. And really anything is possible. And I don't have to decide today.
That's great.
That's a big one for me because I like making decisions. So just sitting in the unknown.
Yes.
That's been a big one too for me. It's been like so freeing as well because I could just sit and feel into it and go with the flow, which is exactly where I love being. And that's my feminine essence. It's just really being in flow and doing things from my heart and from what feels good and feels right.
Where all the magic happens.
Yes. And it is magic.
It is magic.
Yeah.
Well, I have to say, thank you so much for being here. You share so generously. You share for the growth of others. I've seen that time and time again. Your children are lucky to have a mom who's like willing to do this work so they don't have to. And I'm just really inspired by your commitment to growth and who you can be in this world. And so it's been an honor. This journey has been an honor.
Thank you. With you. Let me thank you. It's been an honor. Whew.
Thank you for listening to Life Mastery Stories. If you are curious about how this life mastery methodology could work for you, click the link in the description. And don't forget to like and subscribe and share with anyone who you think might benefit from hearing it. See you next time.